I just paid it off for you. I was like, what? I was like, you paid with your own money? He's like, yeah, I paid with my own credit card. Receipt says $642. I get a surprise check in my account for over $1,000. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Tay, and I want to thank you for clicking on my video. First, I want to say thank you guys so much for all of your love and support from all of my videos, from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm so honored and blessed that so many people around the world were blessed by my testimony, and I just pray that God will continue to help me to inspire you guys. Like, you guys inspire me just as much as I'm inspiring you. So I love for you to take this journey with me. Like I said before, I have so many testimonies. God has done so much for me, and I'd love to just keep sharing those with you guys. So this is the second installment of Testimony Tuesday, and I hope you guys click the subscribe button and click that notification bell so you guys get to know every time that I drop a new video. It definitely will be every Tuesday, and let me know down below what else you want to see from me. So let's start with this video. Let's call this car dealership testimony. So to set the scene, let's jump back to late 2019. I had finally got a full-time job as a brand ambassador working for this brand new company. It was a beef jerky company, and I was pretty good at selling for them, so they promoted me to a sales manager pretty quickly. So early 2020, I was a sales manager for them, and I would go to different stores and sell their products, different Walmarts around Georgia, and sell their beef jerky. And I was actually pretty good at it. So they were pleased. Everything was going really well. And then March 2020 comes around, and we all know what happened there. So all the events shut down, all the stores shut down. It was just a hot mess. So there were no events for me to do. There were no places for me to go. So they actually ended up letting me go, and I was unemployed. So I was unemployed for most of 2020. What I did was I actually was on unemployment for most of 2020 and 2021 because no one would hire me. I actually had gotten a full-time customer service work from home job, and they sent me the equipment and everything. I worked for them. The first day, everything was fine. I log into my computer for the second day, and they say, oh, we hired too many people. Sorry, we're letting you go. So I had a job for one day. So what I ended up doing was I had the unemployment check, like most people whose industry shut down throughout the pandemic. I was getting unemployment, and I also was working for Instacart. I would work for them kind of part-time throughout the pandemic. So I did that for most of 2020 and 2021. So I always continued to apply to jobs, but just no one would hire me. So it was tough. It was really tough emotionally. I was really depressed for most of the pandemic. Honestly, y'all, it's just recently now in 2022 is when I'm really starting to feel like myself again and really have hope and joy like I've never had before. But it was really rough throughout the whole pandemic. So that's just setting the scene for what is about to come. Okay, so 2021, I was unemployed most of the year. I ended up actually being super depressed and hopeless because I guess after a year of being on unemployment, they kind of kick you off. So I think I didn't qualify anymore. So they completely cut off my payments without any notice. It was just really hard. Like, I had no other way to pay my bills other than doing Instacart, and that had kind of slowed down. So I was pretty hopeless. I was like, God, what do you expect me to do? Because I had never stopped applying to jobs. People just weren't hiring me. So I decided to go even harder with applying to jobs. So I kept applying to jobs, and I finally got a call back from one company. And actually it was only because I had knew someone who knew a recruiter at that company. They hired me, and they sent me the offer letter that same day. So I was super excited until they gave me the offer letter the same day as the second interview, right? I'm so excited. I finally have a full-time job. I'm making the most money I've ever made. I was just so grateful. Tell me why 10 days later, my car breaks down. I've had this car at this point for 7 years. It has never broken down on the highway. This car just stops working. It completely stalls like right before I get on the highway. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is the worst timing in history. So I was already so sad and depressed, and I finally got the job. I'm so happy. And 10 days later, my car stalls. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I take it to a mechanic. I get it towed to a mechanic, and that mechanic, who's a trusted family friend of someone that I know, they say that my car is basically totaled because my transmission and my engine blew out at the same time. When does that happen? I was so, honestly, y'all, I was mad at God. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I cannot catch a break. I'm smiling now, y'all, but it was hard. I was going back and reading my old journal entries. It was a really, really hard time for me. I was like, why is it that every time I get good news, something worse follows? So it was really, really hard. I took it really hard. I was so stressed out. And I was actually still in grad school at this time too. So I had to deal with the stress of that, the stress of not having a job, then finally getting a job, then trying to figure out how am I going to get to this job without a car. I've had reliable transportation for 7 years, and now I finally get a stable job, and that transportation decides to shut down. Y'all, this same exact week that this happened, my mom gets engaged, and of course I love my mom. I'm so happy, but it's like, imagine you're already depressed. I was already struggling with my singleness, and she gets engaged, before me. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't catch a break. Like, I was just really, really, I was really sad. I didn't know what good could come from this. I was just so stressed out, and I didn't know any way out. On top of all of that, I had told y'all that they just cut off my unemployment check. So I was falling behind on my bills. So this same car that just broke down, I still owe thousands and thousands of dollars on. And I haven't paid in a few months because I just didn't have the money. So they kept threatening to repo this car. And I now can't even drive the car, but yet I'm still responsible for paying the payment, which is, y'all, it's a lot. Like, my car payment is a rent payment, and it's ridiculous how much I had to pay. And I was just like, how much more can I take? I can't do this anymore. Y'all, I was so stressed out. I was emailing Dave Ramsey. Like, I don't know what he was going to do. He can't pay my bills, but I guess I was looking for financial advice. This mechanic is telling me my car's not worth anything because the repairs are more than what it's worth, and I need to just get a car for like $1,000, just ride it for as long as I can. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I still owe money on this car. That makes no sense. And I was just praying to God, like, please, please make a way. So I got that news September 24th, 2021, that my car is pretty much unsalvageable. And I was supposed to start my job October 11th. And so basically I had a couple weeks to figure it out, which that was the good part about it. I didn't have to start right away. So I had a few weeks to try to figure out things. But honestly, within those few weeks, not much happened. I just kind of got it towed to different mechanics, got different opinions, but nobody gave me good news. So I started my job. Thankfully, thank you, Mom. She was able to drive me back and forth to work for the first week or so. In the first week of me working, I realized that there is a Chevy dealership right next to my job. So one of the days where my mom picked me up from work, we had decided to go over there and see if maybe they could look at my car. So I actually got the car towed to that dealership that's by my job. So I was able to start my job, thankfully, because of my mom. And one day after work, after I got the car towed there, they looked at my car and they told me to come in, and they told me what was wrong with it. So thankfully, what they told me what was wrong with it was not as bad as what the other mechanic told me. So always get a second, third, fourth opinion, because honestly, I usually don't trust dealerships because they do tend to upcharge. But in this case, I'm so glad that I did that. So the first day that I go into this dealership, I walk in and I see this guy just sitting there smiling, this angel. We're gonna name him Dave. So I walk in, I meet Dave, he's so nice, and he tells me what's wrong with my car. So just remember the last mechanic told me my engine and my transmission blew out at the same time. I need to replace both of those, and that would be like $4,500 at least. So he said, whatever it is, it's just not worth fixing. So luckily I got another opinion for the dealership, and Dave told me that the repairs will be about $1,600. So I was like, oh wow, okay. That's still a lot of money that I didn't have, but thankfully it was a lot less than $4,000. So I was trying to explain to Dave that I will need some time to pay that car off, and if I can pay him in installments, or like, how does it work? I don't know anything about cars. So he basically was saying I can't get my car back until I pay that total in full, and that's when they'll pretty much do the repairs. But he also was saying that they can't hold my car there for any longer than a few days because they need that space, you know, for people who are actually paying. So that was another dilemma. I was like, God, what am I gonna do? I was praying like, I need some money out of nowhere. Like, I need a miracle. I need help. So this is a testimony video, so you guys know it didn't end there. So God worked it out like he always does. So the angel, Dave, he told me, you know, I understand it's been really hard for you. I told him the whole story about me finally getting a job, and now this happens, and I guess he just had a lot of sympathy for me. So he said, I'm really not supposed to do this, but if you give me $1,000, then I will let you have your car. I'm really not supposed to give you your car before you pay it off, but I understand you have to go to work. You have to go back and forth to work. We can set up an arrangement for you to pay the rest. Just call back with your credit card number and I'll take care of it for you. I was like, what? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. It was like the best news ever. And y'all, Dave was a older white guy. He was probably like in his 70s. And here I come in, this random girl, and for whatever reason, he just is so inclined to help me. I really don't think I said anything about God, but he just starts talking about God with me, and we've just had this really deep conversation in the dealership, and it was just so amazing. So I was so grateful that he was even going to let me have my car without paying off the whole balance, but God worked it out even bigger than I could even imagine. So I'm not sure how much time goes by, but like maybe another few days, I finally get my check. I realized that I get my signing bonus in my first check, and my signing bonus was just enough. It was about $1,000. So pretty much I was giving him all my money that I had, and I told him that I was like, this is really all I have. If I had the $1,600, I definitely would give it to you, but I just don't have that right now. So I really, really appreciate you helping me and letting me have my car, even though you're not supposed to. And I promise I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody at your job. I won't get you in trouble. So he was so sweet. So I finally, when I got that check, I called him back like I said I would. I called him back. It was at night. I called him back and I told him I got my check, so I can give you my credit card over the phone so that you can process that payment, and then tomorrow morning I'll come in the dealership before work and I'll pick up my car. My mom will drop me off at the dealership. So he was like, okay, cool. So when I talked to him on the phone, I was giving him my credit card number, and I said, thank you so much, Dave. I paid that amount, and we hung up. So I thought that was it. Y'all, I promise you, this is gonna sound crazy, but I promise you, I have witnesses that this is not made up. What I'm about to tell you is for real. Tell me why 10 minutes later, Dave, Angel Dave, calls me back, and my mom was my witness. She was in the car with me. He calls me back. I put him on speakerphone. I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? And he's like, yeah, I know we just talked, but I feel like God just told me to bless you, so I just went ahead and paid off your balance. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I just paid it off for you. Like, just take your time paying me back. Like, I just don't want you to have to worry about it. I just paid it off for you. I was like, what? I was like, you paid with your own money? He's like, yeah, I paid with my own credit card. Like, I paid it off for you. I was like, you don't even know me. Like, what? I like instantly started crying like in the car. It was just, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? Why would you do that? He was just like, yeah, I don't know. God just told me to do it. So, and he hung up. So I get to the dealership the next morning to pick up my car, and I'm like, and he's working. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just give him a big hug. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you help me like that? And he's like, God just told me to do it. And I started crying again. But obviously I couldn't make a big deal because he wasn't supposed to do that. I didn't want his, coworkers to know that he did that. So he gives me the receipt. Y'all, I thought it was like maybe like $500 or whatever. That receipt says $642 is what he paid. I could see his name on it. He paid with his own credit card, $642 with the girl he only met once. I had one conversation with him once. He did this for me. I was like, God, like I'm sorry for doubting you. Like, this is nothing but God. Like, I can't even explain this. It was crazy. So the whole day I was just in disbelief, like, wow, I have my car now. My car's working perfectly fine. I paid like a third of what the other mechanic said I would have to pay. And some stranger just paid it off for me and told me to take my time paying him back. Like, are you kidding me? So tell me why. A couple weeks after he pays off my car, I get a surprise check in my account for over $1,000. Y'all, I was still in school. I was still in grad school at the time. And I got this huge refund check that I had no idea was coming to me, that I still can't explain because it really didn't make sense with my situation. But it lands in my account unexpectedly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I can pay this man back. And I told him, like, I know I only owe you like this amount, but I'm going to give you interest because I'm just so grateful. I said, I am going to pay you back with interest because I'm just so grateful for everything that you've done for me. And I'm so sorry that it's taking this long to pay you back, but I'm going to pay you back plus extra. And what he texted back, y'all, he said, God takes care of us with no interest. And I was like, wow. I was like, well, amen, but I'm still going to give you this money. So I paid him back. But yeah, I just hope that blessed you guys as much as it blessed me. I still can't believe that stuff like this happens to me. Honestly, y'all, when I tell you, I have a lot of stories like that. And I'm just so grateful. Like, God just always comes through right when I need him. And he'll do the same for you. I really hope that this inspired you in any way. Please let me know down below if you like these videos, if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys in my next video. I started to see 11/11 everywhere. Every single time I would look at the clock. Whew, November 11th, I moved into this apartment.